And you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit more of Rick Wakeman. We're going to continue on with the wives of Henry. I always forget the letter. Hold on, I got to look at it again. The 8th, Henry the 8th. I got to look at it. We're moving on into the next track here, which is Anne Boleyn. The day thou gavest, Lord, hath ended. Make you feel like some ye old English. Listen, with this, now as we've been going back to this album, I've been sitting here for a moment before pressing the record button, read a little bit about which wife of Henry VIII we're going to listen to, read a little bit of the history, so maybe we can contextualize that into the music itself, even though it's instrumental. So just to give you a little bit of information before we jump into it, she was the daughter of Sir Thomas Boleyn. She is Henry's second wife. She studied French and lived in Italy, not Italy. She studied French and lived there for part of her life. Well, I didn't read where there was in Europe. She resisted the king's attempts of letters to seduce her and refused to become his mistress. And apparently the king became very obsessed with her, and he really, really wanted to be with her. So he was trying to get his marriage annulled to his current wife, which I believe was Catherine of Aragon. Eventually, that got annulled. The church and the political powers of the royalty began to be strained a little bit. And then they got married in secret eventually, but she was unable to produce any male heirs for him. So then he got kind of bored and tired with her, and he was trying to find a reason, just find anything to divorce her. Eventually, somehow he found his own reason. He plotted and eventually had her executed. So that's a very simple synopsis of what happened there. So let's go ahead and give it a listen, and we'll talk about it after. A little jazzy, huh? Interesting. What a shift. I do kind of like that synth. Bass. I do like this one actually a lot. like that percussion behind too. Kind of changed the whole sound of everything. Theme. Nice little cute theme. This must be nearing the execution. It definitely changed. What did you guys think about Anne Boleyn? Because to me, actually, Anne Boleyn was pretty good. I actually really liked the marriage of the synths and the, acoustic grand piano or whatever kind of piano that he's using. I actually like the balance between them. The synths actually reminded me of a little bit of like something Emerson would do, because it's so sharp, it's so direct, it just stabs you right through the heart. Just, and even though those specific sounds weren't used throughout the whole piece, in the two sections that those specific textures were used, I think it did a great job of kind of breaking up the piano there, because it starts off with that very light theme, very royal, very elegant and magnificent, and it kind of works very well in the context of the actual history that we kind of read and went over in the beginning too, where it's very romantic. There's letters being sent back and forth. Then there's a marriage, so the music becomes a little bit more adventurous and upbeat. And then there's that little turn at the end. Where it kind of darkens. It kind of changes on its head. And like I said, I'm imagining that's not only when the music changed on its head, but probably Anne Boleyn's head changed a little bit as well. Also a little bit of a connection there. But even disregarding, those synths that I mentioned that were really sharp, even throughout the rest of the track, all the ones that came in, I thought were really nice. That kind of Fat Moog solo that came in, I thought that was really cool. This right here adds a little bit of a funk to the track. The organ, of course, coming in. You have some female vocals that come in and harmonize alongside with everything. I actually think that while this track does still have a lot of different things going on, it's crammed full of ideas, no doubt about that. There's a lot going on. I think the cohesion between all those ideas works a lot better in this one, as opposed to perhaps some of the other tracks. For all the different styles that it moves through, like this little bluesy breakdown, even as it comes across here, it slowly morphs itself from that blues tone back into that classical section inspired right there. That's actually really cool, the way that's done. There's some nice movements in this particular track, which I think are really well done. And then I believe he even has some Mellotron in here as well. You have Bill Bruford playing drums on here. So obviously he has the experience to be able to keep up with all these changes and all these different directions. And then you also have Les Hurdle on the bass on this one, along with Mike Egon on guitar. And I think, there it is, Ray Cooper on the percussion. I really liked how that percussion added a different element. This sounds a little bit more inspired. And I mentioned it before, but cohesive. This sounds like there was a little bit more, I hate when I say this, but it's just like my mental canon. It sounds a little bit more work was put into this one. More time, perhaps, is the best way. More time to bake in the oven. This one sounds like it was. Why did I speak in Yoda when I said that? Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the track. You can let me know in the comments down below. You can follow me on Twitter, Patreon. That's it. Here. Thank you for being here in the first place. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye.